a busy week in Montpelier, but this morning there's still no deal on teacher health care. The runners will start here at the U.S. Oval like in years past. It's where they'll lace up those tennis shoes and take off on the 13.1-mile course. Welcome back. You're taking a live look at Essex High School. Right now you can see a heavy police presence, and right now we have a parent on the line who has 3 students in the school district.
Hey, good morning. It's Leanne from NBC5 reporting from Plattsburgh early on this Monday morning, and I'll give you one guess what we're talking about. Snow, 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 and more snow.
Looking pretty good this morning. You can finally see the road. It had been covered with a small blanket of snow throughout most of our time outside. Seems like as soon as folks start to get a handle on this snow, it just starts falling again, guys.
It does kind of seem that way, doesn't it?
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Throughout the day, folks have been stopping by, bringing by games and coloring books, all kinds of good stuff to help kids out in our community. There's some new numbers out from NBC News and the Wall Street Journal as Trump gets ready to meet with governors from across the country today. A mother.
It didn't take long. I mean, didn't take long at all.
And her son.
I feel like she didn't really know fully the kind of things she was getting into, and she kind of got addicted, so I got taken away.
Want a future free from the realities of addiction.
It was one time and I was hooked.
Heather Cosgrove says she abused opiates first and then moved on to heroin.
And then I went on to meth, and I loved meth. And that was it. That was my all-time favorite. And whatever I could put in a needle, sad but true.
She says meth made her feel happy, beautiful even.
Didn't think about anything or anyone at the time because it was all about me. And to this day, that's my biggest regret because I lost a lot.
Child Protective Services intervened. Cosgrove says she came home high to CPS workers on her doorstep.
They were sitting on my doorstep. I'm just waiting for me, and it tore me up inside so bad that I can't even put into words. And then I went out and wanted to be dead. I didn't care. I just wanted to die.
She went to jail, and the kids?
I'm looking for a foster home, but...
You are currently?
Yeah. So far, there hasn't been any openings.
The reality is, throughout the region, addiction to opiates, heroin, and other substances is tearing families apart. Families like Heather's, and leaving kids like Addison looking for a place to call home.
It's changed my life, and I know if I didn't come into foster care, my life would have turned out really horrible.
In Burlington, there are roughly 200 kids in foster care. DCF crediting the opiate crisis to a significant rise in the number of infants in its care. Back in New York, Social Services Commissioner John Redden says his staff can't keep up with the addiction crisis.
It's a disease. Nobody woke up this morning saying, I'm going to shoot up heroin today. That's what I want to do. Nobody does that. I mean, it's an addiction that we need to, as a community, put the resources in place and work with these individuals to assist them in overcoming it.
He says half of the kids currently in his care are there because of their parents' addictions, and a majority of those kids are less than 5 years old.
We've had situations where a child may be 4 or 5 years old, and they've described as a CPS worker on the parent, grinding up whatever, putting it in a spoon, heating it, filling a needle and injecting it. And we've had 4-year-olds describe those type of situations to us.
Foster parents are in urgent need.
Their family has changed.
Action starts in this class.
What is the first connection that children usually lose when they come into foster care? Family.
The MAP class is a requirement for the men and women who want to open their homes and become foster parents.
Select one, hold it up high.
Foster parents must be at least 21 years old, be in good health, and have sufficient income. Foster parents work with agencies as well as the child's biological parents. We attended the emotionally charged class. It's where we first met Tracy Surlock and her partner, Anthony Baker.
I became a foster parent because I was growing older and wanted to develop a family of my own.
She became a foster parent nearly 2 decades ago.
This was him.
Taking in a 1-year-old and later his 3-day-old sister. The pages of her scrapbooks are filled with their pictures, now 12 and 15, the 2 children she adopted. Surlock says fostering since has been both heartbreaking and overwhelmingly gratifying.
If you want to give yourself an opportunity to identify ways that you can love other human beings in a unique way, I would suggest that people challenge themselves.
To give parents a chance to get their lives back on track.
And your kids are worth it. And you have to remind yourself of that every day.
Cosgrove tells us she's been sober 2 years now.
And your kids need a parent, and you're not a parent when you're using.
She's committed to rebuilding a relationship with her son and creating a new reality, one free of drugs and full of potential.
Then I wanted to show my kids that you can turn your life around. You could be what you want to be.
Addison hopes to study at SUNY Plattsburgh after his high school graduation. He says he hopes his mom can learn something from him too.
I feel like a goal that is reasonable is having a relationship again. Like once I start college, like at least visiting her. Because I feel like she needs that motivation too. And that strive to know that her son's doing well so she can do well too.
They're each doing their part, slowly, to build a new reality together. In Plattsburgh, Leanne Denyer, NBC5 News.
Congratulations for the day you are hereby Deputy Sheriff for Clinton County.
Yay! 11-year-old Brenna Lahart spent her day patrolling.
Completely forgot to tell my friends that I was doing this today.
Dusting for prints.
You get to pull fingerprints off of something.
And getting to know some of those sworn to be honest and truthful as they uphold the law. She kept an eye out for trouble as she and her partner made the rounds in Plattsburgh.
Want to hit the siren to get them to stop? Okay.
Ultimately stopping a driver, an actor taking part in the event, who ran a stop sign.
Mr. Nayland, is that how I pronounce your name?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. In the future, you should be more careful with your surroundings.
She checked his license and registration.
Receive, thank you.
Valid. Brenna opted to give the man a warning.
Have a nice day and please drive safely.
Next stop, the airport, to get a behind-the-scenes look at security.
Going on the runway was exciting because you got to see so much stuff that when you're just going onto a plane you don't normally get to see.
Deputies hope Brenna's day is one she'll remember for a very long time.
Probably the most important thing that we could do is getting in the schools and being with the students at a young age, getting them familiar with law enforcement, to view us as their friends and view us as somebody that they can call for help.
We asked Brenna if she could see herself as a deputy when she grows up.
Yeah, now that I have a good view of what they do on everyday basis.
Well, she might have to wait a few years, but until then, she'll hold on to a few photos.
1, 2, 3.
And a new appreciation for those who put on their uniforms every day. In Plattsburgh, Leanne Denyer, NBC5 News.
Somebody's gonna really like them.
Valoria Dubé will probably never meet whoever that someone is, although she missed him by just a few minutes.
If you know somebody who needs a scarf, come by Trinity Park and show them all these scarves, hats, mittens, and even coats.
This time of year, even without snow on the ground, temperatures drop, winds blow cold.
No matter what your situation is, cold weather affects you.
Nick Dubé and his 10-year-old daughter are just a couple of Plattsburgh's community members who have started rounding up winter gear and putting out items for those in need.
The note says, I'm not lost, please take me. If you are in need of help, dial 211. And 211 will connect you with the folks over at the United Way.
Dubé does not work for the volunteer organization. In fact, he says they're not affiliated with any group or pushing a political agenda.
Ooh, this one's nice. Feels warm.
They're just trying to extend a helping hand. Hundreds of items have already been collected. The Dubés say they'll be back again in a few weeks with more.
Volunteers that we talked to today said there's not just one group of people doing this. They're really encouraging anyone to dig out an old scarf or an old hat from their closet and place it downtown at Trinity Park.
Left alone, brightly colored, and tied tight, they wait, ready for a new home.
I need a scarf because it's still getting a little brutal. And then
This passerby missed the Dubés by just minutes, but shared a thank you for their heartwarming gesture.
I just want to thank everybody that's doing these hats and gloves and scarves, and I want to thank the community for doing what they are doing.
In Plattsburgh, Leanne Denyer, NBC5 News.